Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet B Rayne. I'm so excited today. I have Granddaughter Crow here on the show. She's been on the show, on my shows. I've had several shows over the years, and she's been a regular on my show. I absolutely love her. She's right here in Colorado. She's a medicine woman, a public speaker, teacher, intuitive reader, author of Wisdom of the Natural World. She descended from a long line of spiritual leaders. She is an empath, a medium, and a member of the Navajo Nation. She was voted Woman of the Year in 2015 by the National Association of Professional Women. And she's just released a book recently called Shamanism and Your Shadows. Now, for those that can see, I'm using this in one of my classes. You can tell I like the book because it's totally tabbed. And so I had to run downstairs and get it just a minute ago so I could show her that I think I've devoured her book a little bit. So welcome, Granddaughter Crow, to our show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Oh, as always, Violet, I am thrilled to be here with you. I mean, I love your energy. I love working with you, and I love what you bring to the world. And yeah, when I saw what you did with all the tabs on the book, I was really kind of blown away. I'm like, well, I didn't know it was a manual, a teaching guide. I'm like, this is amazing, and it really like fills me up to know that something that came through me is now going to bless other people, and it's all about that, the wisdom and the energy.
I love it. I love it. I'm using it in my mystery school for the warriors. So, Warriors of Light is all about deep healing and shadow work and, really connecting to your authentic true self. And a lot of people, when you say shadow work, they kind of run for the hills. So, I've even had students that have resisted taking the Warriors program. When I say shadow work, they're like, oh no, right? They really don't want to do that. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying it's necessary, because if you really want to know your true self, and here's the thing that I believe. We come into this world and we're taught that we have to be perfect. There is no perfection. You are not perfect. You are not all beautiful light, right? We all have this work that we're here to do to really grow and evolve. And our shadows help us do that if we understand what a shadow is and why it's showing up and why it's there. So today, I would love Granddaughter Crow to give us a perspective on what is a shadow and why should we be interested in doing shadow work, because she's written this beautiful book called Shamanism and the Shadow that is amazing, over the top amazing. So I'm going to let her share her perspective with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. Talking about doing shadow work, thinking about doing shadow work, it throws up like this. It's almost taboo. It's like, oh, now I have to look at how bad I am, or everything I've done wrong, or that I'm a horrible person, and it's not like that exactly. But that's what people hear, and so they resist it. What I define the shadow as, and in the book I do, reflect and refer to Carl Jung, and he coined the phrase shadow self, and to help people understand it from a psychological point of view, that this is something, that's hidden. It's an aspect of self that's hidden. It doesn't necessarily mean bad, but then it comes up, why is it hidden? Why do we hide certain aspects of ourselves? And there are a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest things is because we individually maybe were raised in a construct or a family unit or a social, status that says that you're supposed to behave like this. Like you said, we're supposed to be perfect. And what perfection looks like looks different in each social group. So it's all about manicuring what that perfect side of you looks like to that social group and being ashamed of anything other than what is acceptable on the exterior, when actually there's a lot of beauty, a lot of things that are within the shadow. For example, let's say that you were very, very, in touch with spirits when you were young and you saw grandma sitting in the corner, or you saw Uncle Fred or whatever. And the social group that you're around, the family unit said, no, 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 that is not what we do. That's the devil's work. It's in the shadows. So all of a sudden, maybe you hide that aspect of yourself in the interconnection with the spirit because it wasn't allowed and you feel ashamed about it and then you finally forget about it. That could be one of your aspects of your shadow. And the exploration without judgment is what I really like to lay down, which is why I come at it from a shamanistic point of view, which makes it the shadow more organic because everything in the natural world that the light touches has a shadow. So it's not shameful and blameful and scary. It's organic and it's hidden. So let's go treasure hunting, people.
Right? I love that. Let's go find out what it is. Because in this physical reality that we're in today, we have polarity. There is light and shadow aspects in everything that you can come up with. Anything that you could think about, there's a light and a shadow aspect to it, right? Everything has that. Archetypes have that. Whether you're a king or a queen or a princess or a prince or whatever archetype that you want to look at, the mother archetype, the father archetype, they all have light and shadow aspects to them. And when we understand them, and what I tell people is, have you ever had an opportunity where you said something or did something and you walked away and said, who was that person? Why did I do that? Why did I react that way? Why was that so emotionally triggered? Because there's a shadow there, maybe a place that needs healing, maybe a wound that you've forgotten about, right?
Yes. Yes.
That needs to be let go. I heard something the other day, which I love. Forgiveness is about cutting the chain that is holding you and connecting you to that person. Forgiveness in our wound, it's about taking that big old wrench or that big cutter and just cutting that chain and saying, no longer does it get to affect me. Doesn't mean it's acceptable. Doesn't mean that we should be okay with it. It just means I'm not going to let it affect me anymore. I'm going to go in a different direction and have a different feeling. And shadow work is a lot like that. It's about forgiveness and letting go and healing and really coming to understand who you are. Because once you clear all that away, the triggers don't happen anymore. It doesn't affect you like it did before. You have a different perspective. And I love, Granddaughter Crow, that you use spirit animals throughout the process. So share with us a little bit. How did you come up with just 4? Because there are 4 in the book. And why did you choose those 4?
Yeah, I love it. That's really great question. And I love each of these different animals. So with the book, there are, like you said, 4, and it's the raven, and the raven assists you at like at certain parts of your shadow, like discovering or becoming aware that you have it. And then there is the snake, and the snake also helps you to kind of go, what do I need to let go? What am I not feeling? What am I not seeing? They each kind of walk with you as an ally. Then you go to the owl, and the owl does something which you mentioned. It helps you to understand maybe where that part of you came from, and maybe even disassemble some triggers or something. And then the wolf is the final one. So I chose four because of the shamanistic number four, meaning there are four directions, there are four seasons, there are, four stages of life, meaning, the birth and the adolescence and adult and elder. So there's a breakdown within shamanism or basic core shamanism, irregardless of where you land on the earth. There is, like, there could be more, but there are that basic four elements. And so I thought, well, let's put this in a little bit of that same shamanistic structure and give you four different aspects to move around a medicine wheel that is divided into four parts, which are aspects of the self. And the reason why I chose a raven and a snake and an owl and a wolf is because those are taboo animals as well. And so is the shadow. So, like, in the world, if you watch a movie and you go to a haunted house, you're gonna hear a raven. It's scary. Or with the snake, who gave Eve the apple? Irregard, the owl, so alien, and it sees in the dark, and then the wolf, the big bad wolf that's gonna blow your house down, not your health down. But each of these they come with a little bit of a shadow to themselves. And so working with these and walking with these spirits as you go through different aspects of encountering and understanding and embracing your shadow, they come along as allies to assist you with.
I love that. I love that. And it's beautifully done, because as we step in, there are people that are very afraid of snakes. And this gives you an opportunity to understand the snake and why that energy comes in. There are people that believe that when an owl shows up, that's bad juju, right? There's these beliefs around there. And I think of the owl like Winnie the Pooh, the wise one that sat in the tree. So it really is perspective, and it's perspective where you come from. Now, one of the questions that I have to ask you is, because you're a member of the Navajo tribe, someone like me that may not have Native American connections, but I'm really drawn to the shamanism practices because I understand the cycles, and I really believe they were very connected to the earth, and we've disconnected from a lot of that. What would you tell someone that might say, well, I really can't read that book because I'm not a shaman or a Native American or one of the groups? What is your perspective of people learning or leaning into these practices?
That's such a great question, and I really appreciate you asking it because I do kind of explain a little bit more about shamanism, the etymology, the term, what it means. It is such a broad topic. You do not have to be a shaman to read the book. You do not have to subscribe to shamanism to go through the different practices within the book. It is said to be a shamanistic book because I am shaman and I wrote it from a natural world point of view. Now, in the book, I do provide different tools that a shaman might utilize that you will not be appropriating if you do. Because, like, for example, crystals, that's one of the tools. Now, everywhere on the face of this earth, crystals are, and, rock hounds are. Like myself, I love them, and we work with them. So it's that interconnectivity. going into what is shamanism and let's say a person without indigenous blood feeling a soul connection to shamanism, that actually makes a lot of sense to me because it is I would recommend that they look at what and I'll go into a lot of this in a book that's coming out maybe in 2026 2027 that I'm writing about this same topic. That's why I love that you asked this. But don't look into traditional shaman because that is wrapped up in the culture which you could then appropriate. Look into neo shamanism, which is more of the collection of you connecting spiritually to the natural world. And then a shaman will also look for balance within the natural world, be an intermediary between the unseen world and the seen world on behalf of the community. And I think that that's a lot of things where don't get all dazzled by the word shaman because you can do magic. If you're going to do that, just go be a magician because the point of shamanism to me is that it is a member of a community that is there for the community on behalf of an intermediary between the natural world, herbs, or whatever, and the people. So, yeah, it's a big question, but I love it. So, yeah, even if you are whatever religion you are, you can pick up this book. It is not asking you to subscribe to a different spiritual system. It's more of a philosophy or more of a philosophy than you must worship the tree or whatever. So, yeah, it's a great question.
I love that because, being a spiritual leader and having community, that question comes up a lot on, I'm interested and so interested in my mystery school. My first class is New Beginnings, but we start with shamanism because it's our connection to the seasons and the earth and the medicine wheel and understanding how that works. Not that we're taking it, but I want you to understand the natural cycles and how we have been using those natural cycles forever. And when we were really connected to the planet, not saying this about everybody, but most people just move through their day and they don't think about it is spring outside and it is raining, and spring rain brings flowers, and that's a natural aspect of spring. And there's a purpose around spring and rain and planting seeds and starting to think about. And when you really, a lot of people do moon ceremonies and they celebrate the moon, but go even further than that. What is all these seasons about? How do you react to the different seasons? Do you understand that it may be summer outside, but you may be personally moving through a winter season where you're hibernating more and reflecting more personally, and understanding that they all affect us, right? All the seasons. And I love that you bring those topics in to this, as well as the seasons and the elements and the direction and all of that comes in with shamanism and shadow work. I think it's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I really appreciate that you teach people that because and the reason why I'm amazed and I love that you do that, and the reason why I brought those aspects of the seasons and all of that into this book is because it takes this esoteric concept that's floating almost above our heads that we're trying to reach for and understand it intellectually, understand it and apply it to our emotions. But really, where we need to feel it is in our body. My body, whether I pay attention to it or not, knows what spring feels like. I know what winter feels like. It causes me to eat different. It causes different cravings, it causes me to put on different clothes. And so my body understands this wisdom. So when we bring it to the forefront of our brain, then we can embody the concepts of our connection with the natural world. So that's why I love that so much. It embodies it where it does cellular rejuvenation in you because you recognize it is spring, it is raining, there are flowers. And this is good because maybe I feel like I'm in a new day, but I'm really kind of sad. So I'm crying, but I just planted a bunch of little, opportunities and they're going to grow. It's the same overarching concept, but it's within your body. Your body knows it. And manifestation is right there when your body knows it.
I love that. I love that. I've met people that are really spiritual and they spend all of winter hibernating, not making new plans, not starting anything new. They're really sitting with themselves and reflecting on their lives and storing up energy, just like our animals do before winter gets here, right? And they're really processing lots of things and really getting lots of rest and doing that, which is what winter's about. Because as soon as spring hits, they're coming out. They have new things to get started. They have new plans for their lives. They're literally taking action with planting those seeds to create something that is their creation zone, right? And when you use those seasons that way, there are many people I think everyone is affected by moon cycles, about season cycles. They just may not pay attention to it, right? But there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's a full moon. I really need to release stuff. I need to complete stuff. Oh, it's a new moon. I feel like I need to go and do something new, right?
Yeah.
We're all affected by these seasons, whether we pay attention to it or not. So when you can get into rhythm and cycles, not only in your physical body, because I agree with Granddaughter Crow, it sits in our body, but also what you're doing, what you're working on, what your perspective is, what you're bringing out, it just amplifies what you're doing because now the planet is supporting you in this beautiful way so that you can be very successful.
I love that. You should teach classes. No,
Right?
I love that. Well said. But I love that the planet is then supporting you when you align with that planetary or the energy of the natural world. And like you said, I mean, the whole idea of sad, this people getting sad because the sun isn't around, isn't a spiritual, like that was a scientific thing where people literally get depressed because they don't get enough sunshine. It's because that's the wisdom of the natural world. That's this shaman. That's exactly it. I love that. Yes.
Yes, yes, we love that. That's why I love our book. See, we're just so aligned that it makes this very easy. So, one of the questions I love to ask you is how a person would know that a shadow is showing up. Like, what triggers should we really pay attention to? And, a lot of people talk about that mirror effect, that it's being mirrored back, and we may not be paying attention. What do we need to be paying attention to that our shadow is really showing up to work with us?
I love that question. I bet that there are a bunch of techniques, and I think that there's a lot of different people who will get different signals. I think that one that is very universal is this, exactly like you said earlier in the show. It's this, why did I respond like that? This, I feel really triggered. It's paying attention to yourself and paying attention to not when like it's not paying attention to, oh, I disagree with that, I agree with that. It's paying attention to these intense like emotions that might come up within you that you're just like, I am angry about this, or that really like, oh, that where you just keep gnawing on it. That should be explored. That should be explored. I think that we all kind of feel like that. And that is that kind of mirror effect where what you see in somebody else that really irritates you is a reflection of maybe an aspect of yourself. That's very there too. For me, I would also say that now that I've been doing shadow work for decades. Like, yeah, I got asked, well, when do you end? When does shadow work end? And I said, whenever your light work ends, because a shadow is a part of the light. It is the byproduct, and it helps you to explore. So one of the things for me is I can almost like recognize this, what my shadow tends to be very, one aspect of my shadow tends to be very rebel. She's a rebel and I love her. And so when she's doing good, it's all great. But when she's just like, screw all of this, and she starts getting like that, I'm like, okay, what is going on internally that is like everybody else in the room isn't responding like you're responding? So it's not an external thing, what's going on internally, because you're about ready to mine another jewel and or understanding, heal a trauma. Maybe there's a gift buried in there. And if nothing else, you get to know yourself a little bit more. And that is powerful.
I think that's really important is when we can see, and I don't think it's ever done. Several months ago, I had a shadow show up. A lot of times when our shadows show up, for most people, they don't even pay attention. They just move through it and they just ignore it. But I had ordered DoorDash to be delivered to my house, and it was a meal, and it was a snowy night. So just picture that. And after I sent the order, I noticed it was going to my center and not to my house, which is 30, 40 minutes away in bad weather. Right. And so this
Yep.
emotional upheaval started happening like, oh my God, oh my God. And it was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to put my clothes on and I'm going to have to go out in the snow and I'm going to have to drive. And I was trying to get it redirected. And of course, DoorDash wouldn't redirect it. And so then I was like, I don't want to really drive in the snow. That was the whole purpose of doing this. And you're going through all of these emotions, right? So then I cancel the order and they tell me they're going to charge me anyways. And this all happened within less than 5 minutes. And then I
Wow.
reorder close to the house, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I messed up. I really messed up. And this wasn't an inexpensive order, it was pretty expensive what we had ordered and all that emotion. So I had to sit with that for a little while to realize that when I was a young girl, my mother loved to go through fast food restaurants. And I always got to hold the little cardboard tray. Now, an 8-year old with 4 large drinks and a tray, it's very difficult. And I would always spill them. I would always either spill them in the car, in the driveway, something would always happen. And this day, my mother said, if you spill that drink, you're going to wear it later because I am really tired of not getting my soda. So you can imagine the intensity and anxiety that I had holding that tray, and I dumped one of them right into the floorboard. So all of that anxiety, and she did, I wore the rest of them, but all that whole experience came up 60 years later, 50 years later, and I made a mistake with DoorDash, right? Not that I haven't done that before. I'm sure if you ever have food delivered and you work somewhere else, everybody else has had that experience because it'll show up at the house and I'll be at the center, or it'll show up at the center and I'll be at the house because I wasn't paying attention to change that, right? That's a shadow. That's a wound that needs healed. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Anybody will make that mistake. It's easy to make that mistake, especially if you're doing something in a hurry or a rush, right? And
Absolutely.
it needs healing, right? That little girl couldn't help dumping that soda in the floor, asking, a 6 or 7 year old to hold a tray of large drinks is kind of unfair in some aspects because they're doing the best they can. I didn't do it intentionally, right? I was trying really hard not to do it because I knew it was going to upset my mother, but that needs to be healed because that little girl was not didn't do anything wrong. She didn't deserve
Right.
the treatment that she had afterwards. So that's just an example of being able to connect the shadows and understand the healing,
I
right?
love that. I love that because also in that, what you described was the trauma. And even though other people might get a little upset, it caused you, in just that story, this idea of, I ruined everybody's evening because did this. And the night is, because you got punished, and the shame. But that's a really good example because it's normally it'd be like most people would go, oh man, happened again. Oh well, cancel, reorder, refund my money, do this. Oh well, I'm tired. That's the normal response. But when you get hit with that trauma, stop ignoring it, people. Don't be ashamed. Don't try to hide it. Look at it and know that you are loved and there is a reason why that's there, and heal it.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes, and this will be my last thing that I want to mention. Some people will take their shadows and give them names so that as they're communicating or having conversations, because that's really healing. She's laughing. Okay. It could be Sybil. You could come up with any kind of name. Okay, Sybil. All right, let's talk about this because we're so used to having a name or a label with something in this reality experience. I think it can be very healing to give some of your shadows names and really just sit and have conversations back and forth. So, those are some of the things I share with my students because it allows us to kind of move through the energy and have that. What do you think about that, Granddaughter
I,
Crow?
I am in love with that. I am in love with that idea. And it really makes me go, that makes it even more accessible. It helps somebody to externalize and work through an internal thing, because in doing it inside, it hasn't been working for the last 50 years. Let's take it outside of you, give it a name, and let's have a dialogue. And actually, I think that that book helps with that. But I love it. I'm trying to think of names that I want to refer to my shadow as, but I think that this show is PG, so I can't say the names because they're a little power driven. Yeah.
And those are good names when they're power driven too. As ugly or as powerful as you can get them because it really helps you process that healing aspect and to understand it's still part of you. It's a part of you that you get frustrated with, but it gives you a space to really have a conversation. And so, if I could say anything, everyone needs this book, Shamanism and Your Shadows. It really is profound. It's got a zillion golden nuggets in it. We didn't touch on everything from this book, but we touched on a big part. If any of this resonates with you, please go to your local bookstore and pick up a copy of Granddaughter Crow's book because it is really powerful and amazing. And I'm so glad. And I'll have her website at the bottom so you can go check out her website. She also has a podcast and lots of things going on all the time. Granddaughter Crow, thank you so much for sharing with us today. And when you get ready to launch your next book, I definitely want to have you back on the show because I'll probably need it so I can tab it too early
Hey,
on.
I'll mail it to you, a special signed copy with tabs that you can organize. I I have known you over the years. You're such a wonderful spiritual leader, working with so many different people, and what you do in helping people to grow and giving them the space. I mean, you're just a regular gardener where you just help people grow. And when they need a place to root, you give them a place to root. And when they want to fly, you let them fly. I just really enjoy everything. And I've been looking forward to being on your show again. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Vialet, you're very special to me.
You are very special to me too. I love when I get to see you, and we both follow each other quite a bit and comment on each other's things. So I love seeing what she's doing, and she loves seeing what I do. I love when we have people in the space that understand that there's enough for everyone. Collaboration and working together is so important. And when we can align so closely in our ideas and beliefs and values, I think that's also very, very important. And so I highly recommend Granddaughter Crow and her sessions. I used to get readings from her in person when she had an office that you could go and see her. I used to love to go and see her and get beautiful readings from her. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming and being part of that. And thank you for taking the time to listen. If this resonated with you, we hope that you'll follow, like, and comment on your favorite channels. We hope to see you soon in the future in another episode. But I wish you a sacred and magical week and a many, many blessings as you move forward in your life.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.